You've heard it a million times, right? Most new businesses fail. But what if that's not really the whole story? What if I told you there are certain types of businesses that, well, almost always succeed? Today we're going to dig into 6 of them. These aren't just guesses. They're business models with shockingly low failure rates, all backed by data. This is for the first-time entrepreneur, maybe someone just like you who wants to start with a win.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we're going to look that fear right in the eye and talk about why most businesses actually fail. Then we'll get into the good stuff, low-risk ideas you can start for under $5,000. From there, we'll scale up to smarter investments under $100,000, and then we'll look at the big asset-backed businesses. And don't worry, we'll wrap it all up with a launch plan you can use to get started safely.
All right, first things first, let's get real about failure. Because it's not just about the scary numbers, it's also about the mindset, the psychology that can stop you cold before you even start.
And look, this slide right here, this is why you might be feeling anxious. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 1 in 5 small businesses is gone within the first year. By year 5, it's a coin flip, half are gone. And after a decade, 2/3 have just vanished. I mean, those odds are just terrible if you're picking a business at random.
So, why is it so important to get it right on your first try? Well, it comes down to this little psychological quirk called recency bias. If your first business crashes and burns, that recent failure makes you super cautious, way less likely to take another risk. But if your first venture is a win, even a small one, that success makes you bolder. It gives you the confidence to go again. So the whole game, really, is to engineer a small win right out of the gate. And this is what it all boils down to. You've got 2 paths. The standard path, it's basically a coin flip, a 50-50 shot. But if you take a data-driven path, if you choose one of the business models we're about to cover, you can literally flip those odds on their head, from a 50% chance of failure to an 80, 90, or even 95% chance of success.
Okay, so let's jump into our first category. This is all about getting that first critical win without betting the farm. We're talking about businesses you can start for less than the price of a decent used car.
First up on our list, vending machines. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but this might just be the perfect starter business. It's so simple, so tangible, and it's an incredible way to learn the fundamentals of business without a ton of financial risk.
And here's the proof. Check out this data. Industry sources, even the Bureau of Labor, show the success rate for vending machine businesses is hovering right around 90%. I mean, come on. That is an absolutely incredible number for any business, let alone your very first one.
So why does this work so well? Well, for one, the startup cost is tiny. You can get a used machine for under $1,000. The operations are dead simple. Find a good spot, keep it stocked with things people want. And it's like a real-world business school. You learn about pricing, inventory, customer demand, the whole shebang. And most importantly, if it doesn't work out, it's not going to bankrupt you. It is the perfect small win.
Okay, so maybe you've got your first win under your belt, or you just have a little more cash to start with. Let's level up. We're going to look at the next tier, businesses where you can invest a bit more but still have this huge data-backed safety net. Let's talk about transportation, specifically last-mile delivery. Just think about it. With the explosion of e-commerce, getting all that stuff from a warehouse to somebody's front porch has become one of the biggest opportunities out there.
The success rate here is 76.4%. Now, that's a little lower than vending machines, sure, because it is a more complex business, but it still absolutely blows the average small business out of the water. And why? Simple. The demand is just enormous.
So what makes this model so strong? Well, besides that crazy demand, your main upfront expense, what business people call CapEx, is the truck itself. And a truck is a hard asset. It holds its value pretty well. It's not like a failed software idea where you're left with nothing. No, you still have the truck. This makes it a much safer bet, and it's a business you can easily scale from just one truck to a whole fleet.
And now, for our final category, let's talk about the big leagues. These are asset-heavy businesses. Yeah, they require more capital, but in exchange, they offer some of the highest success rates and resilience you can find anywhere. Just take a look at these numbers. It's incredible. Laundromats, a staggering 94% success rate. Why? They're basically recession-proof. People always need clean clothes. Self-storage is right behind at 92%, and now you can pretty much run them from your phone. Rental properties, the classic way to build wealth, have an 85% success rate. And senior care, an extremely low failure rate because it's driven by unstoppable demographics and government support.
And hey, this isn't just theory. Listen to this quote from a real owner. They call laundromats their gateway drug to business buying. For an investment of $100,000, they made back $67,000. It just goes to show how these simple, boring, asset-backed businesses can be insanely profitable.
Now, a quick note on senior care. When you hear that, you're probably picturing a huge multi-million-dollar facility, right? But the real opportunity for a new entrepreneur is actually way smaller. You can rent or even buy a regular house, get it zoned and certified correctly, and operate a small-scale assisted living facility. It's a much more accessible way to get into a booming industry.
Okay, so we've seen the what, the businesses that give you the best odds. Now let's shift gears and talk about the how. Here's a concrete plan to get you started without risking everything.
But before we get to the steps, this right here is the single most important rule. I mean it. Never, ever do a deal that could wipe you out financially. Your first business is your training ground. The goal is to learn. The goal is to get that crucial first win, not to gamble away your future.
So, here it is, your launch plan. Step 1, pick a simple, proven model like the ones we've been talking about. 2, analyze the cash flow. Become completely obsessed with the numbers before you buy anything. 3, minimize your own capital. Use as little of your own money as possible. 4, always protect your downside. Ask yourself, what's the absolute worst-case scenario? And 5, start small, learn the business inside and out, and then use systems to automate and scale up.
And that brings us right back to where we started. We talked about the fear of failure, about the power of recency bias. But now you've seen the hard data on businesses that don't just succeed, they overwhelmingly succeed. So the only real question left is this: what small, calculated win are you going to engineer to get your journey started?